Wow, what's up you fellas? Oi man, get in real close for a second. If you don't have Dragon Quest 11 already, you better have a pretty good excuse, man. Bro, this is my RPG of the year. Bro, firstly, we've got massive crits. You know how old Has likes those, eh? And secondly, we got the awesome creature designs, man. And bro, thirdly, there's a casino, man. Bro, we gonna be rich. Oh bro, but I'm already rich as, eh man. You fellas know why? It's because I have you fellas, man. I don't see any of you fellas tapping on that like and subscribe button right now, man. And then lastly, man, there's Puff Puff, bro. Yeah. Hey, you better stop that. We're family friendly, remember? Yeah, okay, man. Calm that stupid hairstyle of yours down, bro. Okay, you fellas, this is why this is why this RPG is my favorite game this year. Dragon Quest XI was developed and published by the one and only Square Enix and is available on the PC, Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and even the 3DS, man. I'm reviewing the PS4 version for you fellas, of course. So let's go. Graphically, Toriyama's work has never looked better. This is easily the best depiction of his art that we are likely to see in this console generation. The characters are a perfect blend of realistic materials and surface textures combined with bright colors and stylized proportions, with these face shapes that are just so iconic of Toriyama's design style. Now they aren't really everybody's cup of tea, eh? It actually took me a long time to get used to it. But now, I just can't get enough. The creature designs, I mean just look at these creatures, man. When you combine the design with the animation set and then the name of these creatures together, the package is just undefeatable. It really is the perfect balance of cheesy puns and simple design. Absolutely everything is distilled down to the most simplest version that you could possibly make. The environment art looks just as brilliant. The areas and maps are a sequence of connected large open areas mixed with small linear paths that span from jungles, wheat fields, beachfront locales, snowy forests, and scorching deserts. Of course, every single one of these looks absolutely amazing. There is also a full day-night cycle as well, which completely transforms any one of those locales. It's so good, man. I absolutely love that for the first time in a Dragon Quest game, we can now see many weapon types and many costume changes for the characters. Even though every single piece of armor is not visible, man, it's just so good to be able to see some. Lastly, can we take a minute to appreciate the cutscenes in this game? I mean, damn, bro. So how does this game feel to play then? Well, let me ask you fellas a question. Are you long-time Dragon Quest fans? Bro, then I've got some awesome news for you. It plays the exact same way the other ones do. Seriously, Square haven't changed anything gameplay-wise. They didn't try to reinvent anything or change any of the systems. It's literally the same game as Dragon Quest VIII. I was actually worried about this a little bit, eh? And there's something to be said about that because a game series as old as this one was literally ripe for Square to really change it up and mess with it. But I think they made absolutely the right choice here. And I'm sure all the Dragon Quest fans will completely agree with me. I wanted this game to take me back to the RPGs of old. And it absolutely did. The game's pacing starts you off in a small village where you get acclimatized to the mechanics of pretty much the entire game. You'll search for hidden treasure chests and sparklies, you'll break pots and barrels for loot and crafting materials, you'll learn to talk to people, pick up your first side quests, you'll learn combat and how to ride a horse. That's pretty much it. The simplicity really throws me back to the golden years of JRPG goodness. When you combine that old school gameplay with new school controls, systems, reactions, controller inputs, It's just an absolute pleasure. Right now, this game would be the shining example of don't fix what ain't broke, man. Combat in Dragon Quest XI is no longer random encounter based, eh? In fact, when Dragon Quest Heroes was released and I saw the creatures running around in the field in real time for the first time, I knew from that moment that they simply had to make that the same system for the next big Dragon Quest. Aside from that though, you have a lineup of characters versus an enemy lineup, and it's a very simple turn-based affair. Each character has special moves which are either learned automatically via leveling up or unlocked with skill points on the new character leveling system. This little addition is a fantastic way to give players just that little bit of customization for how any of their characters play. For all characters there are at least 2 different weapon types and at least 1 different auxiliary support type to grow your character in. This can actually really open up some interesting combat combinations, eh? Dragon Quest has also had a system in place that was similar to Final Fantasy's Overdrive system. Basically, when your character meets the requirements, they will pep up, which increases their combat abilities for about 5 or 6 turns, or until you use a pep power, which is more or less a super move. There are dozens of those, depending on who you have in your party and what skills they have unlocked so far. I have to say, the cast of characters in Dragon Quest, wow man, it is age diverse, gender diverse, personality diverse, sexuality diverse, and the key is, it's written in such a way that there are absolutely no call-outs to the fact that it is so diverse. This is how, in my opinion, these things should be handled. It feels 100% natural. In fact, I personally have never ever laughed so hard playing any game in my life. I was actually in tears and gasping for breath at one point. The writers and voice actors here get full credit for crafting a group of characters that I shall remember forever. Lastly, I have to talk about the crafting system. It is easily the best crafting system I have ever played with in any game. You find recipes from bookshelves, chests, and from quest rewards, and then providing you have all the materials needed to make it, you start forging it on your mini forge. Each item has its own configuration of these bars, and the goal is to use any one of the plethora of strikes you have available, which use your focus, in order to have that bar land right in the sweet spot. A failure will result in creating a normal weapon, but you can also get +1, 2, and finally +3 weapons. There are a couple of random elements like chance and critical hits and so on, but for the most part it's going to come down to how you choose to use your focus. This system is simply amazing. So how about the story in Dragon Quest? Let me say that if you are new to the Dragon Quest universe, do not expect a complicated storyline. Actually, the story in every Dragon Quest is pretty cliche, to be fair. In fact, it's almost always the exact same storyline in every game, just with a new cast of characters. I know this can seem too straightforward and maybe even childlike to some people, but the simplicity will always be a breath of fresh air in the sea of complex and multifaceted stories and plots that many current gen RPGs will opt for. It's told to the players via cutscenes both in-game and pre-rendered, and is dished out in perfect intervals that really keep you hungry for more. I have to admit, at some point I had to forego my usual grind fest just because I was so keen to see what was going to happen next. Pretty much the exact same feeling when you can't put a good book down.
Right, we've got more friends to find, and an evil overlord to beat. Don't you think we'd better get going?
The sound in Dragon Quest is the area that I actually have a few nitpicky things to mention, Firstly, I can't help but wonder why the game did not feature a full orchestral score everywhere, even when searching and roaming the countryside. When the opening cutscene plays, the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra takes us away on a magical journey. You can't help but feel just a tiny bit let down as the in-game music is not quite up to the same standard. It didn't bother me, but I think this is something worth mentioning here that could have made this game even more immersive than it already is. The voice acting, however, is absolutely phenomenal.
Here, shake my hand, mate. That's the funniest one I've heard all week.
I have no words beyond amazing, perfect, sublime.
Hey! You again. What do you want this time?
It sounds like Square hired actors from all across the globe. So many accents are present in the game that it truly does feel like an entire world was created here. Inhabitants of different cities have their own accents, and get this, the inhabitants in one of the towns that the player must progress through in the main storyline is completely written in traditional haiku format. It's these touches that once again elevate this game far beyond the normal. It really has been a refreshing experience to play through Dragon Quest XI, especially with so many RPGs right now being basically layer upon layer of confusing complexity in story, combat, plot, character controls, character create, character level up systems. Everything feels to be getting so much more complicated these days. And this game is just the exact opposite of that. It's proof that you don't need to constantly reinvent the wheel in order to make a damn good game. Bro, it goes without saying that I give this game a total score of 9.5 puff puffs out of 10. Bro, I don't think we're gonna see another game like this for ages, eh? It's really that good. If you don't have it, bro, go and get it, man. For reals. Oi, you fellas. Take care of yourselves, hey? And I'll catch you fellas on the next one. Shot, bro.